Welcome to our weekly backlog stream on the weekend. What I would usually say is that typically we would be running a couple of long levels and puzzles and super worlds and other things that ordinarily don't fit into a viewer level session, but as with previous weeks, we're going to start with something with a rather undetermined bound on the amount of time that we're going to take. I guess we didn't start with it in previous weeks, but we did it fairly early, close to the beginning of the stream, and so today we will pretty much dive right into it. Mia's be checking, yes, the purple is harder to get. That is what happens as a consequence of supply and demand. Sabi Wabbit, welcome to the stream as well. So, for those of you who didn't catch this on previous weeks, this is third in a series of what is now 5 escape room levels by Tempest Funk. We didn't do them quite in order. I was introduced to them by playing number 4, Fracta Memoria. And we played it in an earlier version, but I went back and cleared this version on, off stream rather. We went back in previous weeks to do escape room number 1, escape room number 2. There is a grand finale to this, escape room Phi. I believe that's a Phi. And we will probably get to that one next week. But first of all, we have this one dangling. We took a very brief look last week at what the locking systems were like in the opening rooms, just to see if we had looked at it before, and we hadn't. And so we're just going to begin with that and see how it goes. So this is a difficult escape room from late July. Outside sources allowed. Pen and paper recommended. We won't be using pen and paper, but we will be using our usual notepad. Let's see if this works. I've improved the translucency slightly, so if I accidentally leave the notepad up and running for an extended period of time, it won't just block half the screen. Mia's be chicken, do I want a cookie? Maybe later. I have a lot of websites ask me that a lot. And I assume that everything is trying to track me. But yeah, we'll see. I find that every time I run one of these levels, I discover something new about my total lack of technical preparation in terms of something that we are totally not outfitted to show off. But we'll see how much of that we run into. So here's Escape Room 3, the Rosetta Box. Okay, as I said previously, we did a bit of a quick read-through of the locks here, but didn't really proceed with solving any of the puzzles. So we see a clue right from the start, read top to bottom. As you can see, you kind of have that stack of 3x3 question blocks that's in what sort of looks like this picture frame in the right side of the screen. And we're supposed to read them row by row, top to bottom, so that's something we'll keep in mind. I've also learned to read things like the letter E, underspelled out partly with tracks. I had some trouble with that in the previous ones, but we've since learned. So it looks like this is going to be one of the central pieces of the puzzle. Some kind of cipher, some kind of scrambling that will translate into a key we need. Let's check the left side first. Here's be chicken. How do I count to 2? Usually with my toes. Okay, so this says example. Y and X. Y and X, okay. I mean, Y and X perform the same function on the gamepad, or the same button, so I don't think it's referring to that. It's probably... well, let's read the whole thing first. We see a 6x4 grid here. Double track is probably an equal sign, so this somehow translates into this sequence. And, yeah. Mia's be checking to count to 2, you start with 0, and then you add the number 2. Now, this is some kind of transformation where the arrow points to this. Okay, so we have a 6x4 grid here. We have a 6x4 grid here. This is clearly some kind of transformation function. There's a transformation function that covers most of it in question blocks. And as you can see, the remaining objects here are actually shared with their positions here. So for example, if you see the spike block here in position 2, 1, it's also here in the position 2, 1. So this is some kind of masking function. Like, it's a masking function that either covers most of this, or it just sort of selectively highlights some of these. And so you can see that there is a further transformation to the right that basically says, okay, the 4 remaining objects here are converted into the 4 objects that you see the column on the right side. So let's see if we can make any sense of this. So we're looking for something that will give us 4 objects, and I think it might actually be coordinate pairs, actually. So okay, let's go back to this X and Y thing. You see how you've got coin here and ice coins here? You get coins here and ice coins here. So, for example, if we read the top stack as 1, 4, oh, okay, I think the coins are all going to be y-axis, and the ice coins are going to be x-axis. So we actually have to read these backwards. So when you see 1 and 4, like the top 2 rows here, if we're doing the typical x and y coordinate system, we would actually read that as 4 and 1. So for example, let's bring up the notes for just a minute. Let's say we have the example room. We have coordinates 4, 1, 3, 3, 2, 5, and 7, 2. And what that does is it's going to transform this to the left into the thing here on the right. And actually, yeah, if we read the coordinates, so if we read 4 and 1, 4th row, top column, you get the first element there, which is the red block, so that's correct. You read the second thing here, 3 and 3, you get the brick, which is also correct. 2 and 5, 2 and 5. Maybe that's not correct. Oh no, 2. Okay, 5 is vertical position, and so yeah, if you're in x equals 2, if y is equal to 5, then it actually wraps around. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for example, 2, 5 is equal to 2, 1, at least in this layout. And so for example, if that were the number 9 or the number 13, I think, you know, if instead of 5 you had 9 or you had 13 or something, it would wrap around every time. And you would read that as 1. Which means that if we're correct about this, and yeah, as you can see, the spike block is the 3rd net stack. If we're correct about this interpretation, then the 7 is on the x-axis, which only goes up to 6. So 7 should also be equivalent to 1, and it is, as you can see here, that you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 is equal to 1. So let's say that 7 and 2 is equal to 1, 2. And so here we get the 4-column layout here. That gives us red, that gives us brick, that gives us spike, gives us P. I think we understand the example room here. We came in through the pipe. Let's see the door. Okay, so the door here, we see rows of 3 elements that are associated with numbers. As you can see, it says number. Yeah, the track says number, so 1, 2, 3, 4, whoops. Yeah, so it looks like we have a bit of a number key here. I think I better screenshot this, actually, because there's no way I'm jotting it down manually. And we have a whole bunch more over here. Let's make sure I understand what the overlap is going to be. We see this on both screens, so I need to not recount it. But it looks like we have numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, if we follow the sequence, I guess this is implied to be 6, 79, 10, up to 14, so we get numbers up to 20. And we only have about 50 seconds on this attempt to do this read-through, so why don't we just continue. So we get numbers up to 20, so we have a couple of clues here now to decipher what's going on with this image. I think this image is something that we will need to convert, as with the previous image. Like, it's obviously a 6x6, so it's going to follow a slightly different scheme, but we're supposed to find some kind of coordinate system, and the series of coordinates is going to conceal all of the tiles except for a certain number that's being selected. And once those tiles are selected, then we will have some kind of vertical column, as we saw in the example room. We have 4 seconds, so I don't think we'll see much more of this on this attempt. We'll just continue exploring. Now, yeah, this has got to be the code entry room. I do recognize it from the preview that we had done last week when we just ran through it. And, oh wait, go back. Okay, so this reading top to bottom thing is probably associated with the series of 3 numbers that we have going on. Like, we probably have to, you know, take the left column and read it down 3 by 3. Take the right column, read it down 3 by 3, maybe. Not sure how it would work with... This was in the example room. Yeah, this is also 6 wide, and so I would assume that... Yeah, if we take elements that are sets of 3, like 1 row and 3 wide, they're probably associated with the number clues that we saw over here. So, yeah, we took the screenshot earlier. That's not actually going to make things easier. We're right at the door. I might as well just swap between the two. But, so for example, if we take a look at top row here, that's going to be blue spike ice. So blue spike ice is going to be 1, you see on the top left. I'm actually going to jot that down in the notes. So yeah, in the example room, the grid, you have 1. And then second row to the left is P question jump, and that's going to be number 4. And then you have 2 identical rows that are hard block, ice block, brick, and that's number 3 over here, so... And then you're going to have 1 additional row, sorry, 1 additional column that's to the right. Oh, you know what? Okay, no, we can probably predict what this will be. Because look at this, you see this equal sign here. And we see 1 and 4 and 3 and 3 as the top numbers. So we should, like this stack here, should be 5, 2, 2, 7. And indeed, the ones in the middle are the same. So let's take a look to confirm that. So we have red P question. Yeah, red P question is 5. And then 2 should be red note block E. Also, it's the sort of beige colored note block. It's not the white note block, or jump block as old school Mario players call them. 5, 2, 2, and yeah, the last one should be 7, right? So let's say we go back, look at jump, donut, spike. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and indeed top one here is 7. So I seem to be correct that we have a number key here that counts all the way to 20. And so yeah, let's get that down. Whoops. 5, 2, 2, 7. That's just the example room. Okay, so this is an interesting system because it means that we have this thing here operating as the source image for this, and also the number key to decipher itself. So that's interesting because it's an image, and it is also its own decipherment. So this thing by itself gives you enough information to ultimately spit out the encoding that you see on the right side. It's kind of like a hashing function, I think. So let's keep that in mind. Let's actually explore the key code entry and see what other information we can collect on this attempt while we still have time. So yeah, we eventually have a key door here. This will probably be a much later exit. We don't know how late, but we know that one of the MacGuffins in this level that we're looking for is going to be a key. And hey Glitch, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Okay, so we're going to have a key over here. This was the entry room. Yeah, we'll come back and we'll try to apply the method that we discovered to this in just a moment, but let's see what the shape of the solution should be. Okay, I came in through the pipe, right? So we've got a door here. Door takes you to a different code room, okay. And yeah, Glitch doing alright, just running the Tempest Funk Escape Room number 3. We had previously done 4, 1, and 2, and as a series of 5. Number 2 took us way too long last week. Number 2 took us about 3 hours last week due to some spots where we got a little bit stuck, so we'll see if this one runs nearly as late. But hopefully we'll sort it out quickly. The first few clues have actually been fairly smooth. Usually with these levels, I get really jammed at the beginning when I try to figure out the decoding system, and then it goes smoothly from there, mostly. This one, it seems like we actually understood the example room fairly quickly. But anyway, whoops. Sorry, so we have 2 code rooms that look almost the same, except one of them has the pipe to the main room, one of them does not. Now, this pipe up here... Yeah, it looks like this probably is going to be some kind of code entry where, like, for example, you go up one of these, and then there's some kind of switch activation, like, you know, something activated by a thwomp or a claw or something that blocks your progress, or something off-screen that happens, and then you would basically get up above a certain height, and it would work as a detector, I guess. Usually you would think one of these answers would be correct, and then you would run around in the middle layer, probably drop a bomb. Bomb gets crushed, that opens up the pipe. The only thing to keep in mind is that a lot of the Tempest Funk escape rooms that we've seen before actually have multiple code solutions. In that they open up multiple exits. But it seems like the only things that we have here are the pipes in the top corners. I would guess that one of them is for correct answers, one of them is for wrong answers. So we'll see how this goes. Probably a lot of gating with, I don't know, invisible blocks or something else, but, well, anyway, we're looking for solutions anyway. A code that is going to be 6 bits long, I guess. Well, not bits because they're not binary, but like they're going to be 6 units of information, 6 digits. And it looks like we have, once again, we have 2 different rooms. Yeah, this door is probably matched to the same code room as what we saw previously, so. We are going to run out of time in this attempt, I think, but what we'll do, yeah, as you can see, I think this is matched. Okay, so we have 2 code rooms. And, yeah, this, if it operates like the thing in the example room, it should serve as its own key, and it should spit out one of the codes, because I think we've gone to just about everything accessible so far, except for actually trying to punch in a code. But let me actually count these up. I want to see what the complexity of these are, because like as a sort of linear code system, I wonder if it's something that is, you know, potentially actually not as complex as it looks. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 35, I think, and I believe it's just the same length over here. So we have like 70 different codes to choose from, which is actually not too large a space. I mean, like, it would mostly be the running time that would discourage the player from trying to brute force a mechanism like this. And also maybe that we also had previously one of the escape rooms have an alphabet code that required multiple entries. But this looks like a mechanism where, you know, each of them are kind of gating you one way with the semi-solids as well as the trampolines, so... next attempt, we'll spend looking at the code itself, I think, and seeing if we can decipher the code box the way that we've understood the example so far. And from there, we'll see what we can do. So, let me see how we'll go about doing this. I think the easiest way to do it will probably be to screenshot this, and then just take a look in my album images. Let me sort of set up some notes on my page as well. Okay, so I got something like this, main room 6x6 code. Let's see if I can just get to my album. Give me one moment. And yes, that is a preloaded Super Mario 3D All-Stars that we'll hopefully be streaming part of next week. And yes, that is the residual nonsense from when we did the previous escape room level and tried to decipher the alphabetic code. I think that was from number 2. It took long enough that I just don't remember at this point. Anyway, so we have the code segments here. Let me just figure this out. This is numbers 1 through 9. Now, of course, when we have a 6x6 grid, everything after the first 6 will actually just wrap around. So we can read this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 7, 8, 9, 10 down the right side column. Or we can read this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, because it should follow the wraparound rule and just reset. Now, the right column is shared with the next image, I think. So the right column, yeah, that's right over to B in number. So ignore the left column here, and we have the remaining 10, which would be equivalent to 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2 at the end. Now, I think maybe the best way to make this visible is to do a zoom. Although, yeah, I'm guessing that the code images are probably too small to see in this view on the stream. Let me see if I can do anything to improve that. But yeah, let's bring them up like this. I'm glad I actually enabled the zoom function this week. I pretty much never used it before, but then I realized that it actually solves a lot of problems with reading things like escape rooms and reading QR codes and level descriptions, which we had to do last week. Now the notes are kind of obscuring the right side image, so maybe that's not ideal either. So maybe you'll just have to trust me when I try to decipher this, because we're going to have the main room 6x6 code. Yeah, if any of you have trouble seeing the image, I'll just scroll over to the key. But I think this is easier for me to see anyway on my stream. Yeah, and then I can just punch some things in. Notes obscure it, but you can still see it. Yeah, that's why I tried to fix up the opacity. Because, I mean, you know, one option is I can just stare at this and type them in my notes privately and talk and then bring them up at the end, if that's easier. but this way you can also kind of track my progress. So let's see, 6x6 code. First number on the left is going to be 5. Second number on the left is going to be 6. Third on the left is going to be P question note. That's going to be 4. Fourth one is going to be red, and then the beige jump block, and then cloud. Red, beige jump block, and cloud. I believe that's yeah, that's on the right column in the first image. Let me just try to highlight that. Right column in the first image. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9, I think, is just equivalent to 3. We'll put on 9, we'll put 3 in brackets. I think that's probably the easiest way to do that. And then, where were we? Oh yeah, 4 numbers down. Next one is going to be the same one as before. That's going to be 6. And then you have P ice question. P ice question is in the second image. Second image starts with number 11, right? So P blank question is 12. 12 should just be equivalent to 6. Right side. Right side you get hard block ice brick. Hard block ice brick is, let's see, actually spotting images here is probably one of the hardest things to do. Hard block ice brick is going to be 3. And this is the same one as earlier, that's 5. This one is 1. That was blue spike ice was 1. So we're now an ice brick donut. It's the fourth one down on the right side, ice brick donut. Ice brick donut is in the second image, and it is top row second one from the right, and I believe that is 15, right? 15. 15, if you just kind of do modular division once again and try to reduce this to multiples of 6, I believe that is actually supposed to be 3, because it's 12 plus 3. And then we have P question jump, and that's 4. Once again. And then we have spike ice P. Spike ice P is going to be where? Spike ice P. Oh yeah, top row, third one from right, so that is 11. 11 is going to be 6 plus 5, so modular division is going to be 5. And so once again, we're going to read this in, so the way we read the top one earlier, we read it as with the instructions in the initial screen from the top down. So initially we got 1, 4, 3, 3, and then that translated into Y and then X. So it translated to 4, 1, 3, 3. So if we translate this accordingly, then we should have coordinates 6, 5. I'm going to do this XY because I just think in XY in my head, so I think that's easier. But if I make mistakes, that's probably going to be one potential source of mistakes. 6, 5, 3, 4. And then 6, 6. Then we get the right side, which is going to be 5, 3, 3, 1, and 5, 4. So now let's actually read the grid. So once again, in my notation here, we have X first and then Y. We'd better put that down. Otherwise, I'll lose track. 6, 5. It's going to be 6 positions to the right, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to be jump. It's a white jump block. 3 and 4. Third column, fourth row is going to be cloud. Yeah, cloud. 6, 6 is going to be bottom corner. That's P. 5 and 3 is going to be spike. 3 and 1. 3 and 1 is going to be question. 5 and 4. 5 and 4 should be brick. So yeah, that gives us 6 digits, and that should give us a 6-digit passcode for the main screen. So why don't we look for that? We're going to be looking for jump, cloud, P, spike, question, brick. And why don't I actually leave that up as we go back into the level, so you folks can see at home. Yeah, let's see room number 1 first. See how it goes. We will be able to constrain most of these, I think. We know that jump, cloud, P are going to be the top 3. And it's going to be the white jump. And what have we got here? Nothing so far. Jump, jump, jump. Is there really nothing starting with a jump block? Wow. We'll check the other room next, but let me just comb over this carefully. Yeah. Now, this is assuming that order matters. I'm actually not entirely sure that order matters. Obviously, we were given a specific order when we were given the example code, but it seems like the combinations are actually unique. I mean, I'm not going to check that manually. I can't really check that each of these have 0 overlap as sets with any of the other ones. But let's check the other room first, because if we don't see anything that matches the target that we're looking for, we should consider the possibility that order doesn't matter. Okay, so we're looking for something starting with jump, cloud, P. Jump, jump, P, jump, cloud, P. Jump, cloud, P, spike, question, brick. This has got to be it, right? Now, which side? Oh, track seems to be indicating that each of these entry codes is associated with the trampoline to the left, not the one to the right. I think the idea is that they're attached. So let's punch in and see what happens. Yeah, I think we got it. I would assume that these... Oh, I see, because the trampoline normally gets you through, and then you kind of have a minimum bounce height, right? Like, if you have a minimum bounce height off the trampoline, then I guess the incorrect codes probably take you up top to something like a reset room. I believe all of that was to the left. Okay, so this is correct so far. Let's shut off the notes. And let's see what we can do with this. Okay, so yeah, that's going to give us access to the bomb, which gives us access to the red pipe. And we see an alphabet code, A, B, C. Let's count to make sure this actually covers the whole alphabet. See a blank to the left. Let's keep that in mind, but let's start with A, B, C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 8. So you got 18 on the top. 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. 8 on the bottom. Yeah, 26 letters plus... It's probably a space at the front, but we'll see. I feel like I will almost certainly have to screenshot this. Yeah, I definitely have to. So this goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That went up to H, and it'll also expose the first one in the bottom row. Let's see if we can get the whole bottom row in. Yeah, let's just get the whole thing in the image. So top row, there's a bit of overlap, because on this screen we start with GH. On the bottom row, JKLMNOU. Looks like the first one here is S. STUVWXYZ. Yeah. Yeah, we will definitely need reference screenshots for that, as I discovered with the 2x2 code, the alphabetic system that was in last week's on-off switch. I haven't really seen on-off gate anything other than, I think, the entrance. That when you come in through the entrance, there was that series of blue blocks that were not obstructing you from the main room. I don't know what that really affects, but we'll keep this in mind if we ever come to a situation that requires pressing an on-off switch. Read poem with YX. Read poem. YX. Character. I just think of Homestar Runner when I read that, you know. Characters. Characters include in space. Okay. Character includes space. So we're gonna have a YX thing once again. Still coin and ice coin, that hasn't changed. Read poem with YX. Character include. It looks like there are two ways to parse this, depending on how we read it. We can read top row first. It would say read poem character with YX include space. Or we could read it as read poem with YX and then character include space. I'm not sure if that makes a difference. I don't really know how to apply that yet, but anyway, we're going to have some kind of poem, so read poem with YX. Let's see what else is accessible. I don't think the on-off switch opens anything, but we could always be spawn blocking something currently that is unlocked in the existing rooms. If we go back, there could always be some kind of spawning change, and so I think it's important to look at that. Also, look at the left side here. It looks like this is a scroll break. I think there was one. Obviously, this is just the pipe back to the main room. But if we look to the right side, I think there might have been a scroll break there as well. We'll just check that quickly. No, nothing here, but yeah, scroll break here. So this is what we know. We know that, well, the first room that we see for the code entry coming out of the main room is walled off on both sides. This room has a scroll break on either side, and so that could be something that's based on spawning. It also could be something that is based on the Master Sword, allowing us to eventually throw a bomb. So there might be some kind of Master Sword progression here. Could also just be something like an off-screen mechanism, off-screen spike ball, for instance. Off-screen bomb. Not really sure what's going on yet, but I would assume that there's perhaps some kind of switch activation that is done by proximity if you, you know, enter a code in a different location. Was this the same attempt that... Oh yeah, of course it was. I was wondering if it was the same attempt as the code entry, but looking at how low we are on time, and the fact that we had hit the on-off switch... Oh, yeah, look at this too. There's got to be a second valid code that goes in this room. And you know that because you've got this pipe blocked off here, and we have no idea what's through that pipe. So I would assume that our progression at this point is to search for two things. We have to look for the key to the key door, and we also have to look for a code in the first code entry room. So we're still going to have another code that is going to be a target. So let me get through here quickly just to see. And yeah, on-off actually blocks our way back up to the example room by the looks of it. So I actually did not want to activate that. Or at least I did not want to activate that yet. We also see a reset pipe that spits you back up to the front. I would assume that's probably attached to the incorrect code entries. Let me come back here to make sure there's nothing that looks like it could be activated by the change in the on-off state. Sometimes it would be an off-screen mechanism and we just wouldn't know. But I think this is pretty clearly just a code room. This could just be a pipe that spits you out. It could also be some kind of entity block, perhaps, if it's an entity block that spits out an object that you can ride in. But yeah, no evidence for or against that in this room, I think. This was just the number codes. Yeah, just the number codes, nowhere else to go. Nothing else to do. Okay, so I'll back out. Yeah, so we're still looking for a key. We've deciphered this guy already. Oh, wait a minute. We have the alphabet code, and we don't have anything to apply it to yet. So why don't we... So the alphabet code consists of columns of 3, right? So this should actually give us 2 rows of 6 characters if we decide to read it using the alphabet code. So this actually now serves a triple purpose. It was originally our number code. It was the key to isolating the blocks for the password entry. And now, yeah, you can see that kind of shared motif with a picture frame that has the ground decorations on either side. I think the poem room also did the same thing. Let's actually crack that open again once more in case we need it for progression. It was in the other space. Hey, a menu. Hope you're doing well. Jump block. Oh, I have it in my local notes here. Let me bring this up once again. Jump cloud P, spike question brick. Jump cloud P, spike question brick. Yeah, this guy. I might want to screenshot this as well, just... Well, I mean, I have it in my notes, but it's part of the solution path, so let's do it that way. Actually, yeah, since it's part of the solution path, let's actually capture a screenshot of that document set. Always just nuke the other one later. Okay, so we have this. We came through here, we got the alphabet code. Alphabet code gave us the on-off switch, which... Let's not hit it this time. We know how to get it if we do need it. Read poem. Yeah, you see, so the word poem is also inside a picture frame, so I would assume that we're going to have some kind of readable search string. Also, very unclear to me if this is potentially something breakable. It's all with hard blocks, so obviously if we did have access to something like the Master Sword, which we might in order to get through some of the scroll breaks in the code entry room, possibly this is doing something, except for the fact that this is clearly the right side of the world boundary, because it is scroll stopped, and yet it is not fully built on the right side wall. So I think this is just the end. It is scroll stopped on the left, though, right? Scroll stopped on the left. Oh, interesting. I think maybe we're at the top of a vertical subworld, actually. How did I think about it? Because we went through a pipe. Yeah, we went through the red pipe. This is about 2 screens wide, I think. 2 screens wide. Yeah, X is kind of the middle. Yeah, I think this must be top level of a vertical subworld, or like maybe an auto-scrolled part of a vertical subworld that lugs the camera down. Same with this guy here. I think it's probably built vertically. That might be important eventually if we find some way to break the hard blocks and, you know, if we're given something like the Master Sword, but for now I don't think that's relevant. Anyway, as I was saying, let's go back to do the decipherment. Once again, I think I can actually do this through screenshots. Let's do it that way instead. And let's nuke this guy because it's redundant. Yeah, because now we have a screenshot of the correct code in that room. So now we have the alphabet, and we have this guy. Okay, let's bring these up and magnify like that. Let's see if I can find a good positioning for these. It'll make them somewhat readable. I mean, I guess we would just end up zooming out anyway. Yeah, no, let's zoom in all the way then. Hopefully you can see some of the image underneath the notes. The notes are probably still a little bit too opaque for this. But anyway, so this is what I'm doing. I'm reading the original code image using the alphabet code on the left, and I'm probably going to take it column by column if we can find a match. This might take a little bit of time to enter, simply because it takes a while for my eyes to scan this. But on the left side image, which is the second half of the alphabet code, I think we knew that the letters go from... Well, in the first image, which is the middle, that's a space, I think, and it goes from A to H. In the right side image, it goes from G to R on the top row and S to Z on the bottom row. And so let's just keep that in mind and try to read this. So yeah, I'll pull out the notes here. But if any of you are having trouble with this and you would prefer to see the original cipher image so you can read it yourself and do it yourself, that's fine too. Just let me know. There isn't really a good way around this except for totally fudging a whole bunch of filler screenshots to rearrange the screenshot page. So I think this is probably the best we can do. So with the alphabet key in mind, so we're still dealing with the main room 6x6 code. Yeah, we're gonna have 6 characters across in the top row and 6 characters across in the bottom row if I'm understanding this correctly. So, although I don't know if we're going to read them left to right or top down, given that things were top down previously. So we see the 2 characters on the right side. Let me hide this. Sorry, the 2 characters on the leftmost row are actually kind of identical. It's like, you see how it goes red block, hard block P, red block, hard block P. So we know that those are going to be the same character. That's going to be the letter, let's see, left screen bottom row, it looks like that's T. So that's going to be T and T. Second column, P donut question. P donut question. Oh, I see that in the left-hand image, like the second half image, top row. HIJKLMNO. Bottom row is going to be beige note block donut ice. That's in the center image, and that is the thing on the right, so that's H. Top row, once again, is going to be question mark empty blue block, and then jump block. Now, obviously, if we hit the on-off switch, that doesn't change a thing. It's just that the emptiness or fullness of the blue and red state blocks are altered, but the placements are all identical, so that does not make a difference as far as I know. So what do we have here? We're going to have... oh yeah, no, that's just a space. So that's going to be space. I should maybe denote it with the underscore, just for clarity. So it's going to be 2 something something. Looks like it's probably going to be red. Top row and then bottom row. So why don't we fill in the top row first? Top row is going to be Hard block red, blue. It's going to be E. Then it's going to be ice, P. Spike, it's going to be A. Brick, question, ice. That's on the left-hand image, and it is the top right of the left-hand image. And that's going to be, yeah, brick, question, ice. It kind of bugs me that I took that screenshot while the question blocks were in their dark state. I guess that makes them easier to distinguish visually from the P blocks, at least. That should be R. To ear. To, okay, bottom row is going to be, yeah, we got 2 characters down already. Next one's going to be cloud blue question. Cloud blue question goes to, whoops, hang on, let's make sure the switch doesn't fall asleep on me. Cloud blue question is, where is that thing? Oh yeah, no, that's a bottom row left-hand image, so that's one of the last ones there, STUVW. And 3 more characters to go. That's going to be Ice P Spike. That's A. We've seen that one before, yeah. And we've seen the next one before. It's Brick question Ice is R. To ear, not thwart. Donuts. Oh, wait. Okay, so we're looking for a poem, right? Tempest Funk, are you by any chance familiar with Grim Fandango? And I ask this for a very specific reason. Because, and those of you who have seen me stream the Yoshi Not Ridden, the 4YM Yoshi Egg Puzzle level by Tetraterix or Four Wings, you've kind of heard me talk about this before. You played the game, but to be honest, you forget almost all about it. Do you remember the balloon animal puzzle near the beginning of the game, where you're at the carnival and you have to get balloons from the balloon animal guy, and you have to request certain balloon animal shapes? Vaguely, okay, because yeah. So one of the shapes that you can request. Let me see how to tell this story in a way that makes sense in relation to this level. But we're supposed to read a poem. We'll get back to the level. We're supposed to read a poem. And if I'm correct, if I recognize this, yeah, okay. So in Grim Fandango, one of the balloon animals that you can request is a balloon animal in the shape of Robert Frost. And the idea is that you have to steal these pigeon eggs or something, so you have to take the balloon animal up to the rooftop with you, and you have to scare the pigeons away by popping the balloon or something like that. And if you chose the balloon that is shaped like Robert Frost, like as opposed to a dog or a cat or something like that, or a piece of bread, a baguette, then what happens is your character Manny, he like runs up to the pigeons and says, "Run, you pigeons! It's Robert Frost." I should bring up the video, except video doesn't play well when I'm also streaming a game. So anyway, the reason I bring up this whole anecdote is because if I figure out where my browser windows are going, the clue that you have given me points to none other than Robert Frost. So here's To Earthward. It's actually not a Frost that I know particularly well, but I just find it to be a grand coincidence that this is the second Mario Maker escape puzzle I've played in the last few weeks that involves Robert Frost. I think that's remarkable that, you know, you're all apparently really into it. So here's what's going to happen. As some of you who are regulars here know, this is actually just about the perfect stream for a poetry reading. I usually just fill in viewer rewards with Shakespeare, but we've been looking to branch out, and so why not branch out this way? Tempest Funk, the other level was the one by Tetraterix. Let me see if I can... It's a 4YMM code. Let me just bring up the website for you. And it is in week 5, I believe. It's the Yoshi level by Tetraterix. Yeah. Yeah, you know it, yeah. Because that was... I mean, Robert Frost isn't a clue in that level, but it was, in fact, part of the pitch for it. And he has the parody of the road not taken that's in the level description on the website. Anyway, we're supposed to read the poem, and so let's just read the poem. So this is, let's see if I can bring up the correct page here. To Earthward by Robert Frost. I'll in fact hide the text so we can really do a dramatic reading. We'll be seeing the text, I'm sure, when we mine it for clues of some sort. Anyway, to Earthward. Love at the lips was touch as sweet as I could bear, and once that seemed too much. I lived on air that crossed me from sweet things, the flow of, was it musk from hidden grapevine springs downhill at dusk. I had the swirl and ache from sprays of honeysuckle that winter gathered shake dew on a knuckle. I craved strong sweets, but those seemed strong when I was young. The petal of the rose it was that stung. Now, no joy but lacks salt, that is not dashed with pain and weariness and fault. I crave the stain of tears, the aftermark of almost too much love, the sweet of bitter bark and burning clove. When stiff and sore and scarred, I take away my hand from leaning on it hard in grass and sand. The hurt is not enough. I long for weight and strength, to feel the earth as rough to all my length. Okay, Robert Frost. What does that tell us about the level? We will have to find out in a moment. But anyway, so the clue that we received was to read poem. Character with YX. Include space. Or include the column that had the space. And it could be that it's read poem with YX character include space. I'm not really sure. So that's what we're working with is to Earthward, Robert Frost. Okay. Now, let's see what to do with this information. Yeah, we'll have to see what to do with this information. We read the poem. We need to translate it into a grid. Once again, we have a couple of different progression blocks in our way. The key is the first thing, and this pipe here is the second thing. And this is a pipe that will require some kind of code entry that's present in this room, but not the other one. So let's see what we can do with this. So we probably need to create another 6 high code. Let me just hide the notes for a minute. Read the poem with YX include space. So we need to find some kind of transformation using the poem that will give us, yeah, and like either another grid. We have a couple of ways to create the grid. We can translate numbers into the grid, and we can also translate the alphabet into the grid. Numbers would, of course, be in rows that are 3 blocks wide. Letters would be in columns that are 3 blocks high. So Basically, we have two different kinds of approaches we can try. We can try to come up with a character string that would give you 6 of these. Now, here's the question. We probably know from looking at a given grid how many characters it could possibly yield to us, right? Because everything's going to be in multiples of 3. So for instance, if we go to the example room, we see this thing that is 6 by 4. So you've got 24 tiles here. 24 divided by 3, you've got 8. And you've got 8 numbers total. 8 numbers total gives you 4 coordinates. 4 coordinates gives you 4 blocks. In order to get 6 blocks, you would need to have 36 tiles, as you do in the main screen. Now, if you were to assemble 36 tiles, you would either have to use 12 numbers or 12 letters. And so we need to figure out what that information is going to be coming from using the poem clue. Using the poem, we need to find some way to generate 12 characters or generate 12 numbers. Unless, of course, it's something completely different that just gives us the key, and the key takes us around a loop or something and does something else. You know what we haven't checked yet? We haven't checked the wrong answer room. Let's just brute force this, first of all. Yeah, that's how it works, as I kind of expected. Right, because the correct code would hit an invisible block, but let you go through the middle row. And I don't think you can really do a lower, sort of like a medium height jump off the trampoline. I think this locking mechanism probably depends on not letting you do that. Find... Right. So when you misenter the code, it just reminds you that you're looking for a code that has this structure. It also tells you about the track, highlighting the relationship between the column that you have to jump up and the code that you're looking at. So we've already done this. We already figured out one code and how it works. You see 2 entry pipes in here. I would assume that maybe both code screens take you in here. We can check that to be sure. I'll probably spit you back out here. Which is interesting, because if you have something spit you back out here, but you've toggled the on-off states, I'm guessing there would be some kind of automated mechanism that would just make sure the switch is always set to the on position coming in here. That would be in keeping with how some of the other escape room locks have been quality controlled, but it is something that comes to mind, that if you toggle the on-off, go through reset room. Well, let's see how everything is connected first. So yeah, you come through here. That's where we timed out. I'll check the other side too. Just to make sure there aren't any navigational surprises. Ah, okay, so this takes you back to the example room. It doesn't take you back to the start. And yeah, it's the same example room, I think. This has an interesting implication in that it is possible for you to toggle the off switch, and if you come out through this pipe and you run into this, no problem, because you can actually punch in a wrong answer and loop back around. Hey, one came in. How are you doing? Yeah, you can punch in a wrong answer and loop back around and come in here with an off state. So for example, if whatever is past this door requires the on-off switch to be set to off, we know how to do that now, I think. Maybe. Let me check the other side first. It's funny, we've been on this for about an hour, and I feel like I'm still in an early research phase, just in the initial pass of reading some of this stuff in the level. But yeah, this is the same room. Okay, so we know that now. And coming back here... with on-off toggle likely doesn't do anything, but we know how to do that. So let me just reestablish what progress we've made so far. We know one code. And that code, I had it written down. It was this guy here, starting with jump cloud P. Interestingly, you don't really need to go that many digits deep in order to find a relatively unique code. There aren't really... I mean, I don't know if there absolutely aren't any codes that share the first 3, for instance, but if you didn't want to do the whole code, I think sometimes you can get away with a bit of fuzzy logic. Although, yeah, you have jump cloud P here. You have like jump P donut here. Jump question P. Yeah, it really narrows things down when you have even a partial solution, and so that's something that we can keep in mind in case it comes in handy. Okay, so we have the alphabet code. We've already applied the alphabet code, so this is familiar territory so far, although it does unlock access to the on-off switch. So if we ever need some kind of on-off manipulation, we do need to enter that first code. It's not something skippable, I don't think. So this is as far as we've gotten. Character include, I'm pretty sure this refers to include space. I can't imagine that it is doing anything else. Read poem... Character with YX include space. Read poem character. I feel like there are a couple of different ways to plausibly interpret this. Read poem character with YX. On the other hand, I feel like we've already applied this, right? Like we already did this by reading the main thing. The main image, the 6x6 image. Like, we read the poem. We read the characters... Like, we read the title of the poem, rather. We read the title of the poem with the characters here, and we did, in fact, account for the space in 2 space earthward. So, in a way, I actually feel like I've used this clue. But then that means the next clue that we're looking for is something that's embedded in the poem. And the first thing that comes to mind is that if we're looking for something that's 12 characters with a space, Robert Frost, if you include the space, like Robert Space Frost is 12 characters. And so, like, if we took the alphabet code and just entered Robert Frost, maybe that will give us a 6x6 grid that is actually useful. I think we've learned from experience with one of the previous escape rooms that I almost certainly have to go into the editor to do that, and go into the editor while kind of zipping in and out of the screenshots so I can actually take a look at the alphabet code. And so this might be a little bit of a laborious process. I feel like we've had to do some things like that before, though, and that it's kind of in keeping with the complexity of these rooms. It would be very difficult to tell if I'm wrong. I mean, I know that's a bit of a leap, but because there's nothing particularly pointing to, you know, needing to translate Robert Frost into code. But I'm not sure what other information we can actually get from the poem at this point. Unless it's some kind of, you know, book cipher or something such that we have to get specific number to letter mappings from the poem when we read it, including the space. I don't know, we kind of have to try something, though. And I don't know what else to try, given what we've seen so far, unless, of course, we just want to, you know, brute force 70 different numbers, but or 35 different numbers on the first screen, but I doubt we want to do that. I doubt that would really give us much information anyway. So let me think about this. I think the way to do it is to go into the editor and try to sketch some grids. I could also use a hint if I'm so inclined. I'll probably do it the same way we've done in previous weeks, where if I feel really stuck, I'll ask you a question. And that way I don't spoil myself too much. Because, yeah, I mean, obviously I've had a couple of blind alleys where I'm, to mix metaphors here, totally barking up the wrong tree. And also had some instances where I missed something extremely obvious. But yeah, we have the poem To Earthward. We already had To Earthward being derived from this code panel here. And remember, the idea here is that we want to get a second code. So that can happen with one of two ways. Oh yeah, first of all, no, that can only really happen one way, I think. Because these codes in this image system, they contain their own decoding. Because they work as numbers and the 6-tile result, right? So like these basically decode themselves, and so they don't rely on any external information, as in we're not taking some kind of separate number code and applying it to this image, right? Like we don't really have that. We in fact don't have any other source for a number code unless there's something that's buried in the poem, for instance. So I think what we need to do is we're just going to punch in Robert Frost. Let's exit this. I can get back to it fairly easily, I think. And just switch over to the editor. Now give me 1 second to make sure I'm not accidentally exposing anything really critical in progress in the editor. I'll just mask this for a moment. And let me just bring up the core spot. And okay. Yeah, as you can see, we still have the illustration from one of the previous escape rooms that pointed us to YouTube. This will take a little bit of back and forth, but we'll do it. Okay, we're already in a snow theme, which is great. We'll just match the theme to make everything easier to see. And yeah, okay, having to enter things with the controller cursor is maybe not ideal, but if this is what it takes to solve the level, we'll do it. So yeah, let's do just a couple characters at a time if my memory permits. R was at the back of this row here, back at the top row, right? So that's brick question. Oh, you know what? Easier way to do it is I'm going to jot it down in my notepad first, because that way we don't have to switch back and forth the album all the time. So for example, let's say I wanted to create the string Robert Frost. That would translate to something that looks like this. Yeah. Brick question ice. And then space down below, right? So question blue jump. That's the white jump. I'll denote the beige 8th note block with some other notation, I think. But when I say jump block, I usually just mean the standard jump block. O is going to be... let's see. OPQR, 4 spaces from the end. That's going to be P donut question. That's going to be donuts cloud question for... Oh, sorry. Donuts cloud question for the B. And And yeah, let's do the E. A, B, C, D, E is going to be hard, red, and blue. I'm probably going to run into some visibility issues with the size of my notepad here, but we'll try to fix that. Go. R, we already have R. That's going to be brick. Question. Nice. I'll just do it this way, just to save space. And T. T in Robert is going to be second row here. That's going to be red hard P. Okay, that'll just barely fit the display. Let's do the bottom row. Bottom row is going to be, what is it? F. A, B, C, D, E, F is going to be ice, P, donut. This might be totally wrong. I don't know, but so I feel like we have to try it. It's almost too convenient, I think, that you would have a 12-character poem and a 12-character poet. Almost too convenient, but the kind of thing that just fits so elegantly, it just cannot be ignored, unless we have a better idea. I kind of have some alternate interpretations in mind if this doesn't work, like in terms of reading the character with YX or whatever, but like, I mean, I guess if we're thinking of read poem character with YX is something that's applying to this step rather than the previous step that we took to find the poem, then yeah, that, like, Robert Frost isn't really the character, like he's the speaker of the poem, he's the author of the poem, but being a poem in first person, I guess he kind of is the character in it. But I kind of feel like the read poem character clue was referring to the previous step we did, and that I have to make some kind of creative leap here using the contents of the poem in a way that I haven't exactly placed just yet. Anyway, the RO in Frost is actually just going to match the RO in Robert, so that's just going to be brick, question, ice, and P, donut. What is it? Question. And after that, we have S, T, right? Okay, S and T are together at the end, so that's easy. Question, spike, blue, and E is just the same again. I believe that should be fairly readable on the screen. Yeah, okay. Let's go back to the editor, punch that in, and see we have something that looks a little more elegant. And this will just be a little bit of busy work that takes a moment. Brick. Whoops. Question. Hang on. I'm absolutely dreadful at using the controller interface when I'm building. I pretty much never use the controller interface for building unless I am just doing really minor tweaks of, moving a block here and there. So this takes some getting used to. P block. Yeah, let's fill this in as a full P block. Donuts. Cloud. No, not cloud. Cloud is in the next row. Then, yeah, that's question block, yeah. That's what we want. Question block. Hard red blue. Hard red. And then we just change the state on this for blue. Brick. question. And ice. Yeah. And okay. Copy that. Red, hard, and then P on the right side, and that's going to be our letter T. Yeah, letter T. Whoops. Multi-grab, come on. We can just copy this guy down here. RO, we can copy it to, let's see, space F, RO, yeah. And then we can just fill in the space F and S. So what was the space? Space was question. Then blue. Then jump. SP donut for the F. Nice. I sure hope I got this right and didn't make any transcription mistakes, because as we discovered with the last set of alphabetic clues that we did, transcription mistakes can cause a whole lot of trouble that is difficult to fix when it comes to debugging a given solution or approach that we have to a level like this. Whoops. Copy. Question. SP, what was that? Oh yeah, spike. Spike. It's gonna be the only spike here. And blue. Oops. There we go. So, there you have it. That's Robert Frost. The resemblance is truly striking. We'd better save this. Give me just one moment to ensure this doesn't expose all of the other stuff I have going on. Yeah, it won't. Okay, good. All of the nefarious experiments that we have going on in the lab. Let's just call this Robert Frost.